So when the team who was putting together this conference, I really wanted to have something part of this around sort of the evolution of cause marketing and how kind of the corporate and company participation in this space both brings incredible opportunities for scale and reach, but also challenges. And as someone who's worked in this space for a while from several different perspectives, political, environmental, traditional cause marketing, sort of the next phase that we're seeing now, I wanted to bring folks together to sort of have a discussion about that. So we have Erica Berger, Director of Outreach from Storyful. We have Liba Rubinstein from Tumblr, who is also Director of Outreach for Causes and Partnerships, I think, politics. And then we have Michael Wilde, who has potentially the best title of anyone on the stage today, Chief of Awesome from Splunk, and one of the lead developers for the Splunk for Good project. So I'm just going to ask everyone to sort of talk briefly. We have a much shorter time than we originally thought about how their corporate and kind of organization is shifting and dealing with these new challenges and opportunities around combining social impact with a viable profit strategy.
Thanks. So I'm Erica. I work for Storyful, which is a B2B for-profit media company. We're not a nonprofit. We are essentially a social media newswire service. So we are really good at discovering the most relevant newsworthy content from social networks. So Twitter, Tumblr, Facebook, Google+, YouTube, Vimeo, all of the like, through technology. But then we actually have like 20 journalists that are verifying and vetting that the content's real, that it's relevant, that it's appropriate, that it's high quality. And then we get in touch with the users and the uploaders and the creators, so people like yourselves, to find out more information about how they shot something, whether it's a video or what they're tweeting. And we work with ABC News and Reuters and the New York Times and the Wall Street Journal and BBC and Bloomberg and Al Jazeera and all of these big news organizations, as well as Google and YouTube and Skype and Twitter to publish the most important user-generated news content. I think what's interesting for me about Storyful is that our core business is a subscription service, and we have been able to expand beyond our typical news relationships to power YouTube's politics page, their coverage of the 2012 elections. We run their human rights page, which means we are building playlists of 10 videos a day that are highlighting human rights abuses around the world. We also run Google's elections coverage globally, so we're powering all the content for every election that they're talking about. And we run their open internet project, which means we're finding stories around the world of how the internet makes the offline world better. And these are all paid for projects. We're not doing them for pro bono. And I think that's kind of the shift I've seen in the last few years, where companies like Google and YouTube and companies like the New York Times and the most relevant videos from Syria and highlight what's going on there are willing to commit money to power these projects. And this is because they're getting a lot of eyeballs on it. It's actually really good for their brand and for their business to talk about important, tough stuff. And they pay for it. So I think, it's exciting. I'm excited about the future.
Liba, would you like to talk a little bit about how Tumblr is expanding its impact?
Sure. I think for those of you who may or may not be familiar with Tumblr, Tumblr is a social blogging platform which is now in the top 10 websites in the US. We are number 2 to Facebook, only to Facebook in user engagement, the amount of time people spend on the site. It's basically web hosting and social media all in one. So pretty much whatever you want to do on the internet, you can kind of do it on Tumblr. And it's a platform for self-expression. And that is really where the magic happens around causes and activism on Tumblr. And I just want to back up for 1 second before I talk specifically about Tumblr to say that I think part of the theme of what we're all talking about and going to be talking about is the way that the services that we provide, the platforms that we run, the technology that we own, is both a tool for cause marketing for our clients and our audiences, and therefore also the cause marketing for our own companies. And I think that's sort of the convergence that we're seeing in the evolution of cause marketing. And I kind of take this big picture look at it because I've worked in the field of cause marketing from a bunch of different perspectives, and I used to run sustainability at a big media company and saw the kind of tension in big companies around the value of good old-fashioned check writing versus kind of integrating cause into the core business, and how difficult that is for large companies to evolve. And for smaller companies whose core business is so clear and the services that we provide to the world are so obvious, we can really kind of identify the social good that comes of what we do, and then also tell that story as a way to highlight, to help our own brand. And that's the cycle that I think we're all trying to achieve. And so for Tumblr, it's both about the organic nature of the platform that made it where Occupy Wall Street, emerged and evolved and spread. The original kind of Occupy Wall Street site is a Tumblr. The SOPA PIPA movement, before the web-wide blackout, that also emerged on Tumblr. It was sort of a natural platform where people were identifying themselves as people who work for the internet, who are standing up for open internet, and started self-organizing, and then obviously kind of catalyzed into something much bigger. And so there's all this organic stuff that's happening on the platform where people are using our tools for self-expression and creativity and connecting with other people around causes that they care about and expressing cause as part of their identity. And then there are ways that we can help organizations and brands kind of harness that energy toward doing good things. And sort of that's the work that I do, and the fact that Tumblr invests in someone like me who's dedicated to doing that work just shows how gracefully what we do as a business and the good that we can do in the world just kind of align.
Yeah, it's something that's happening in a lot of my consulting practice now, is that I have some very traditional sort of cause marketing engagements that we are expanding, sometimes now globally. For example, some of the work we've done with Paul Frank through our global social media reach, which just wouldn't have been possible traditionally. But I'm certainly much more interested in this sort of model convergence that you see with something like what we're doing with Splunk, where it's taking advantage of an unexpected opportunity based on the core structure of a business to have significant impact. And
yeah, I'm Michael Wilde with Splunk. Okay, so take your eyes off of me and if you have a mobile device, or you have a laptop or a tablet, go to splunkforgood.com. You can spell it with a 4 or the word, and click on live projects and look at that stuff while I'm talking. So Splunk, the company, we're a commercial ISV that makes software that helps people analyze all types of data. We call it a platform for machine data. I sort of call it approachable big data software. And lots of companies buy our product to do a bunch of different things. And we had this unique opportunity as we sort of grew. Founded in 2004, went public last year, so we've gotten to the point where we're big enough now where we started to look at how do we kind of give back. And so we got in touch with Catherine, and we started looking at, should we do things like donate our time? Should we have hackathons? Should we build houses for Habitat for Humanity? It turned out that our technology can be used to solve a bunch of interesting problems. So what you'll see on splunkforgood.com is a federal election campaign explorer, where we're taking public data that's very difficult to normally access and allowing you to unlock what's in it. We worked with FEMA on their innovation team around Hurricane Sandy, and there's a little link in there if you want to see how scared people were during Hurricane Sandy by analyzing social media. You can actually see, and it was the first time that I got the chills by looking at social media data. It was really easy for us to do it, but we like the idea of being able to use our technology for good, and it makes it easy for us as a company to kind of mingle our corporate mission with the things that we'd like to do in cause marketing, because it's just a natural extension of what we in the product sort of do.
So I think one of the things that we wanted to highlight through this panel and sort of make sure that the sort of nonprofit side of folks that are very represented and participating in this event think more broadly about the ways they can engage in cause marketing as opposed to a traditional partnership, which can still be incredibly valuable with a consumer brand or a public-facing brand, to think more deeply about how integrating these kinds of operational functions and I think we're just starting to see the ways that we can increase the efficiency, the transparency, the scope of kind of aid delivery, pick your social impact module through some of these partnerships. So we have just a few, any closing thoughts? Because we want to be respectful of our time on the panel. Liba, do you want to wrap it up? Or Michael?
Sure. I mean, I think the message is it's not really either or, it's both. But for small companies out there who are trying to figure out what their role in all of this is and how they, when they're trying to be profitable and trying to keep their investors happy and trying to attract new business, can also do good things. These are really important models. And for big companies who are looking to do something a little bit more kind of progressive and innovative, looking and to make cause marketing sustainable for them, this is really the direction to go. And for organizations who are thinking about how to engage new partners and also reach people in new ways, it's these guys, the sort of new kids on the block, the startups who are going to give you that edge that I think it's. And you have to know where to look.
Yeah, and I think it's also, people are so, new models and companies built on these new models are more open to sort of innovation in this space as well too, I'm finding, which is really exciting. So certainly if you have a challenge for Splunk for good data, let us know. If you have interest in expanding your presence through Tumblr and some of the learning more about the visualizations and the impact that Storyful has, please make sure you get in touch with us and we'll be around after the panel. Thank you so much.